Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may happen to be. You have tuned into the Talk About Your Community live stream. I'm your host, Todd, with Clocktower Advisors. And on this show, we talk about community building in person, online, all the mixes in between, and get to talk to a wide variety of guests, people in the technology space, people who are local small business owners, because I'm interested in the things that bring us together, to tie us together, that create communities. And I'm really excited today because I've got three guests who are coming on the show from the Community Leaders Institute, and we'll bring them on in just a minute to talk a little bit about that organization, which is rising like a phoenix again. The original organization has changed a bit, and we're going to learn all about that in today's show. But before we do that, just wanted to mention, if you could follow the Clocktower Advisors company page on LinkedIn, so that you get notifications about events like this that come up. We run these streams about every 2 weeks. If this is your first time here, you are most welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Would love to hear from you on the comments, where you're tuning in from, what questions you may have for our guests today. We will try to get to everybody in the time that we have. And these streams generally run about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how the conversation ranges. So if you're able to stick around with us for that entire time, we're very grateful for that. Just another quick housekeeping piece for this. If you want access to our large back catalog of live streams, Clocktower Advisors has its own YouTube channel. You can follow it out there. I'm trying to get up to 100 subscribers. We're on our way. We've had some nice growth over the last few months, thanks to all of you, and very appreciative of all the support and your comments, likes, and shares through that platform as well. So the only other administrative piece that I have that I'll mention this again at the end of the show, is we'll be back on in 2 weeks. That's going to be March the 24th. I had to look at my notes for that. March the 24th, same time of day. My guest is going to be a friend of the show, Adrian Speyer, the author of The Accidental Community Manager. And he and I are going to be talking about marketing versus community, or marketing plus community. The debate will be on. We'll have a fun conversation around that. He's always a great guest, and I'm sure you'll want to tune in for that show as well. But that being said, I don't want to waste any more time before bringing our guests onto the stream here. I'd like to welcome Natalie, Bill, and Brad from Community Leaders Institute. Hey guys, great to see you.
Hey, great to see you,
Todd.
So glad you're able to join us. The Community Leaders Institute has been around, I think, for many people in the community profession. They've known about you guys since around the pandemic, and the organization has been through some changes recently. And it was one of the reasons I wanted to have you guys on the show, because I've been working with you a little bit and have had some great interactions, but wanted a chance to learn a little bit more about sort of like what's the state of the organization today, and where are you guys, and what's happening. But Bill, can I maybe turn to you for a moment to maybe introduce yourself and share a fun fact about yourself and talk a little bit about the organization?
Absolutely, Todd. Thank you. Before we even start, for having us on here. One, because of your wide audience, but also you're respected within this industry, and it's going to help us and you as well at CLI to make sure that people understand that we are here to stay. We are here for them. And we have a lot of exciting news upcoming that we'll announce officially here today. So I'm Bill McGlade, the president of CLI, Community Leaders Institute. We are the Association for Community Professionals, and that's how we are representing ourselves. So what that means, we'll get into a lot here. I won't steal the thunder from Brad, Natalie, or Todd, but a fun fact about me. I'm an avid golfer. So a huge, there it is. You can't do this on the camera. Huge fan of Tiger Woods. That's up there, even though my head keeps blocking them. I have also authored 2 books. One is In the Mind of a Serial Killer. Please don't read it. You'll think differently of me. And then one is Sales and Marketing book for associations and professionals. Another fun fact, because Brad's going to bring up a cool celebrity, so I got to, bring one up too. I have actually learned a new card game, which I've forgotten, way back in the day, from Paul Rudd. We randomly went to an event in New York, and someone said, hey, let's go to this dive bar. And there was Paul Rudd with a couple other, B-list celebrities, and they were playing some really cool game. And I, me, who can talk to a wall, was just like, hey, Paul, if you don't mind, what are you playing? And then he just kind of, taught us what he was playing, and it was really, really cool.
Wait, well, what was the game? I have to know.
I have no freaking
Oh.
idea. It was like a mix of like poker and like gin rummy, and it was just like it was so weird that I couldn't even grasp it. But they were playing it and like throwing, $1,000 chips on the table and everything, and it was really cool.
That's amazing. Well, if you remember it, let me know, and I'll put it back up on the feed for everybody if they want to try it out. We'll probably have to try it at the next live community event. Brad, welcome. You and I have had a chance to actually work on a webinar recently together, and you're an amazing facilitator, host, for the event. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, happily. Thank you, and thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. Brad Weber, and it is actually Weber. That's not a misspelling down there in the corner. Many people call me Weber, but it is Weber. And a fun fact about me is actually my name. So my name was actually Weber when my family immigrated through Ellis Island, and they were coming through, and somebody looked at it and said, "Oh, that's not how we do it." And they added an A, and that is how my name started in this country. And ironically, my other comment that Bill just mentioned was I was doing an event 38 years ago this month, by the way. I joined the event, hospitality, and consulting industry. So I'm still going strong. But I was doing an event in England, and I accidentally went in the wrong door, and I had a moment with the Queen of England. So, and she was quite lovely, but it was kind of one of another fun fact that no one knows about me. So I wasn't officially invited, but I did get to meet her.
38 years in the industry and only 38 years old. That's awesome.
Nah. I wish.
Did she say we are not amused whenever you barged into the room?
She did not have to use words to let me know how to know. I'll just leave it at that.
Amazing. I love it. And Natalie Thomas, I'm assuming that's Thomas and not Thomas.
It is Natalie Thomas. I'm so glad to be here, Todd. Thank you so much for having us. So a fun fact, once I had the unique and extraordinary privilege of co-piloting the Fuji blimp. This was many moons ago, but it was so exciting. I flew it over the Hollywood sign, over Madonna's house. And at that precise moment, there was like a natural phenomenon happening in the Pacific that we got to eyewitness. I'll never forget it. That was a phenomenal moment. So that's something not many people know about me.
That's got to go on the resume, like blimp pilot. I mean, that's freaking amazing. Wow.
It's fun.
Oh, wow. Well, so guys, I'm so glad you could join in the show. Usually it's just me and maybe two other guests. This is the most guests I've had in a while, I think. And I love open, free for all kinds of conversations like this. Let's dig in and talk a little bit about CLI. The organization, like I said, has been around for a while. People, I think maybe the initial memories of it was from the Clicks event in Memphis that kicked off around the time of that. Different management was running the organization at the time. Some good, some bad perceptions around that. Bill, do you want to talk a little bit about sort of like,
sure,
what is CLI going to be about? Under the new bosses that are running things right now. I guess that being you, and sort of what's your vision for this organization? Because I don't think none of us ended up in community as a conscious choice necessarily. We've all ended up here by accident. But I'm interested in sort of like why you guys are into creating an organization for the community professional space.
Let me simply answer your question and then go into the details. CLI is all about you, the community professionals. Simply put, that's the only reason that we exist, and it's the only reason that we, as far as our parent company, are putting all the funding behind it to create the amazing content, the events, any sort of education, advocacy, and we'll talk about that as well. For all of you community professionals. We believe in the power of community. We also believe in the outstanding work that community professionals do and provide for every single business, not just associations, nonprofits, events, but SaaS businesses, to user groups, to gamers, to everything that's out there. There's so many different types of communities, and the power that they have, and the I'll say the word that everyone hates, the ROI that the community actually represents within every single business and how it touches every single department is humongous. And we want to make sure that every business understands that. So when it comes to the perception of the previous ownership, I had known RD for forever. And he came from the events and association worlds as well. And, he started communities long ago, and he was taking events and transforming them into what we call in the events industry 365 communities, well before many other people were. And so, some may view RD kind of like as an outsider to the community world, but really he was just putting on another form of communities. And so when he saw this opportunity, specifically within the event space, when he launched it, CLI, he actually saw an opportunity for a broader engagement and a broader audience, which is where community managers themselves that have been out there for a while as well, under different, I'll say, professions, under different titles, now forming into what community managers, professionals, marketers, leaders, all of those are. Used to be, social media managers and all that. There's a clear difference. The two of them do work together, but there is a clear difference between the actual roles and functionalities for them. So when RD started it, there's, no ill will with him. We love him. He started it from, an idea. And, with that idea, we actually, from our parent company, epIQ, right? So which I own as well, we went to Clicks, and we loved it. Right. There were some things obviously we would have changed around the event itself, but for a first event, it was not bad at all. There's a lot of learnings that we took from there, and it just randomly started having a conversation with RD, and then we wound up acquiring it. And we have not a set playbook when it comes to associations, but we have guidelines that we focus on to make sure that we are all about the mission, and the mission is you. And there's no other simple way to say that except the fact that the mission is all about community professionals. And so with that being said, as our ultimate goal, and Brad as our chief strategy officer makes sure that we are always leading up to that ultimate goal, which is representing you. Everything that we do and everything that we're talking about for the rest of the show will always lead up to how are we best representing you, and how are we best educating, informing, and growing you within the industry and respective in that way.
That's really terrific, and I want to dig into that a little bit further, but I'll just do a quick shout out to some friends that have joined us on the chat here. Deb, Piper, Jenny, others, Tim. Thank you so much for popping in. And I just spotted that Deb had done a shout out on the chat saying it was nice to meet Piper Wilson at the event. So clearly the event brought some people together. I know it was a first experience for some people that were just entering the community industry space. So all of those interactions are good and important. So and I'll say from my perspective, the interactions that I had with RD early on were positive ones, and the things were moving in the right direction, but then things just didn't gel, in the ways that I think were hoped. But I'm glad you guys picked up the standard.
On that, Todd?
Yeah,
may I touch on that? And apologies for interrupting, but
no,
the one thing I want to make sure that everybody knows is, and I'm going to keep reiterating this, we're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. And although CLI paused for a bit, there was a reason behind that. And in order to best represent you, we had to pause CLI in order to build the foundation that was needed, right, to get to where we are today, to make sure that we will be around for, forever, essentially.
That's great. No, terrific to hear you say that. So let's talk strategy a little bit. So I'm gonna turn to Brad as the Chief Strategy Officer and say, okay, so strategy is about sort of recognizing the landscape, doing what you can with the assets and the people and the budgets that you've got to work with. I'll say, looking at the community space, at least from the hill that I happen to be sitting on, we've got, some different kinds of commons areas where a lot of conversations are happening around being a community professional. CMX is an obvious one. Community clubs, another space. There are a lot of other little places like the Guild and other, not little, but there are significant conversations happening in different areas. Where does CLI fit into all this, man? And what do you see as the niche?
Yeah, so I appreciate that. And, it's really interesting. We ask many times, Bill and I have been out on the road, and we're actually heading out again next week. And then we're going to be global here soon at IMEX. We've been asked to speak. We always ask the question about what does community mean to you? And we get lots of different answers. And that's been kind of a really interesting aha moment. And it shows that there's multi-prongs to all of this. And, we want to really become the voice for the leaders through advocacy. And advocacy equals awareness. And ironically, yesterday, I was speaking all day at MC for a conference, and the word community came up, and I counted it in my head through all the different panels and also in some of the workshops. The word community came up 37 times. But guess what? There wasn't a community leader person in the room. It was talking about this organic need of creating community. And so it was a moment for me to say, as we continue to build and this team works and listens to all of you, this is a huge opportunity, is to escalate and elevate what the roles are, what it does, and the importance of it. And speaking at events is only one prong of the strategy. Again, that's part of the awareness. Right now we're heavily focused into the event world, going and speaking in front of many event organizers, marketers, and really helping kind of divide and just, figure out where is it that we want to penetrate the most. And ironically, another strategy that I'm working on is I work on another part of my business with destinations. And when I say destinations, you'll hear the term, sometimes an acronym called CVB or DMO, and those are convention and visitors bureaus and destination marketing organizations. Well, there is no more form of community and community creation than the partners and the stakeholders involved with all of that. So this is a penetration area for us from an awareness standpoint. And again, yesterday I spoke at this conference. It was the entire audience was destinations in the room. Probably 80 or 90 different cities, 250 attendees. And to hear the word community come up that many times, I think speaks to that opportunity.
I'll tell you what I love about that. So first of all, I love that you were counting the number of times community came up, and that's at least as many times as Gary Vee drops an F-bomb in the middle of a as well. So,
yeah, but you gotta love that guy.
Those yesterday,
but the serious point that I wanted to make about that, though, is I feel like from what I've seen in the community professional space, we're a hyper-connected group of professionals. Because of the nature of what we do. We recognize the importance of hearing other people's conversations, including them, having those kinds of discoveries of each other and common goals. But that's kind of our own worst enemy too, because we haven't had a lot of I feel like breaking outside of that conversation box. And so being in front of destination professionals, being in front of different industries, being at different kinds of events. I mean, I think that's something CLI could do as an advocacy evangelizing organization, if I might maybe use those terms.
Absolutely.
Put angel wings on us now, since we're evangelizing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the community's been around and the discussion community's been around forever. It just hasn't, I don't think, had that catapulting lift that we're looking at now. This is an opportunity, a true opportunity right now. And one of the things I want to mention too, another prong of my kind of 3-pronged stool here in strategy, is I believe and we believe in all things that curating needs to be done by those you serve. And one of the things that we're going to be creating down the road and launching hopefully in early 24 is the ITT. And the ITT is the Innovation Think Tank. And we're not looking at the formality of a board or this is bringing thought leaders together to really help us take it to the next level by hearing from all of you that are our members out there and look at all the different areas that we're going to try to track from that. So more to come about that. So that's exciting. And then we'll talk a bit more at the end of this about some of the partnership aspects. So that's in a nutshell a little bit of what's going on right now as far as some things I'm helping lead. But it's a great team here. And the other thing I want to mention too is there's a powerhouse behind us too. There's other people working on behalf of CLI. We may be the ones here today, but there's a lot of others serving and helping. So.
No, that's absolutely great. I appreciate the context for that, and that whole idea of the ITT having a really kind of an advisory group almost around making sure CLI is on target and serving the needs of this population of community professionals. I think is incredibly important, and doing great thought leadership at the same time. Natalie, sorry, didn't mean to neglect you. I'm got to get better at like fast switching between questions. But as director of marketing and membership, I know you're in charge of a lot of the content and planning around the organization. And one of the areas, by way of segue, with what I was talking about with Brad, is reaching out to other audiences and bringing in more perspectives and ideas. And I know that DEI is at least a part of what the CLI is going to be trying to do, to welcome more people into the industry, to maybe talk about presentations and articles on the subject. I'd love to understand sort of your take or your strategy on managing the content and membership around the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are reaching out to a lot of experts, and bringing in a lot of people to speak on a monthly basis. We have virtual events, we call them Clicks presentations. So that's in real time. They are fun. They have trivia, question and answer. We can really engage our audience, hear from them, respond to them in the moment. So we have those going on monthly. In addition to that, we have two major events that we're putting on each year. So there's Clicks Spring and there's Clicks Fall. These are digital events. And I will put just a little plug here, honestly, because there is a membership. We have the Ultimate membership, and that's geared towards companies, but can benefit a lot of individuals as well if you're expecting to go to both of these events. So this time of year, we're able to offer the promotion of attending both these events within that, included in that Ultimate membership. So that's a huge deal that we're able to offer this time of year. So please look into it. So in addition to those digital events, we definitely want to bring more and more live and in-person events. So we're looking at bringing a pop-up in September. So yeah, and let me not forget to give the date. So Clicks Spring happens on April 27th this year, and Clicks Fall will take place in November. So those are some of the events. Besides that, I'll say that CLI is a research and data-driven company. So we're looking at bringing a comprehensive stack of content to our viewers. So not only articles and research papers, but also training videos and workbooks and not just tutorials, but templates that can be downloaded and adapted to your audience. So those are some of the exciting things content-wise that we're looking at bringing to our audience.
That's really super. So I know that there are a lot of people in the community industry right now who've been hit hard by being out of a job and being on the job search and the frustrations of trying to work with companies to talk about your skills and jumping through the many hoops of that. It's been a tough time for our space. What kinds of things and this is for any of you that want to take the question, what kind of things is CLI going to do to try to help people who are in a hurting spot right now and trying to find that next opportunity?
Sure, I can tackle that. So part of the advocacy efforts is going to be all about the education of small businesses to enterprises on the power of community and why they need to actually hire a community manager specifically. There's also tons of community manager roles that are out there. And if you're following, all of the, I would guess, influencers out there right now in the community space, you can see that they are promoting the different jobs and roles for community managers that are out there. And what we're seeing is that these companies are getting thousands of applications of highly qualified professionals, and it's getting really hard for them to actually choose. So our goal is when we do launch the community platform that we have within the next 45 days. I know I keep saying that we're almost there. We'll have the jobs board on there, and we're going to keep touting those. And so we'll push all of those positions out on social. All of our members we'll have access to all of that, and we'll make sure that we're highlighting all of our members to all of these companies to make sure they understand the value, not only of the community professional itself, but of, again, the role that communities play in every single department. So within that as well, we will have specific pop-up events, and I want to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. So going back one step, Todd, Natalie is not touting herself enough. She actually used to be a professor. And so when we start talking about the research and the quality of the content that we're going to push out, it's going to be, in our opinion, almost university level. And the reason for that is we have other initiatives that we're going to be launching, which I know we'll touch base on. And we want everyone to understand that the information we're putting out is not necessarily just for them as the community manager or the community professional. It's for their leaders, right? It's for the marketing professionals that are making the decisions on whether or not there should be a community, right? Or the CEOs or the CMOs or any of those. And so we will start inviting them into the fold to make sure. I want an A, Natalie. Sorry. You got me good, Piper. You got me good. We want to make sure we're bringing them into the fold so that we can have a better exposure rate of that advocacy to those higher ups that make those decisions. So going back to the events, we're taking a very strategic approach on this. And so, Clicks was probably a close to, we'll say, 200 person conference, in Memphis. Memphis was very hard to get to. What we're doing is taking the data that we currently have and analyzing it. And what we're seeing is that there's a better opportunity for community professionals to have local pop-up events. And so we are going to start on the East Coast, right? And what Natalie alluded to in September, we will have probably a couple weeks before CMX and the roundtable event, a pop-up for about 100 community professionals on the East Coast. We're not sure exactly where yet. It'll be Boston, New York, or DC. Easy places to get to. It'll be one-day workshops. So it'll be intensive workshops with lots of networking time because we know that what community professionals really want is that ability to actually speak with each other. And so we're going to make sure that that's built into the entire program while making it fun. If there's one thing that we've learned about community professionals is they are a heck of a lot of fun. And so we can't do anything that's, in my opinion, traditional or boring. So that's why all of our online presentations, right, are all about like having the trivias and the wheel spins and giving away prizes and stuff like that. Our digital events right now, the Click Spring and Click Fall, we've got an online auction that we're going to be launching with them as well. And we're also looking for sponsors so that the sponsors can actually give away those. And then again, we're going to be giving away a membership too. So I don't know anyone else that does that. And gives away so much, free things. Laughter yoga could be included. Hey, there you go. I don't know what laughter yoga is, but we could possibly include that, Deb, if it means just
every time you and I get together, you don't realize this, but we're doing laughter yoga.
Is that what? So then, yeah, I mean, we can do that. And then the other thing that we're doing, right, and all of this feeds up to advocating for you, right? These little things that you may not notice, but like Brad is going to be emceeing every single one of our events, or at least as many as he can, right? And the reason for that is when you have someone that's engaging with the speakers, right? It's not talking at you, it's talking with you. And we don't believe with the talking at philosophy, we believe with the talking with you. And so you need to be included in all of those conversations. I hope that answers your question, Tom.
Can I add something really quick? I want to go back on the DEI question that you mentioned. And actually, I'm gonna throw a little thing out there. I was in a group yesterday, and we actually thought maybe it needs to be changed to EDI because we believe those are the steps that it takes. So it's very interesting. We're going to be diving into this, and accessibility is another big area that we need to make sure that everyone has access regardless, and to kind of really look at the paradigm shift of EDI or DEI and how much more is actually included in that. So there's a lot going on with that. Natalie and I are going to be behind the scenes, rolling up our sleeves on some of that area. But this is a big cornerstone that we want to make sure that all are included and all are welcome.
I'm really glad to hear you mention accessibility. That was actually our guest topic from 2 weeks ago. Shelby Edwards was talking about just making sure that the community platforms that we offer are as accessible as possible. And for me, like one of the big aha moments was on the sign up screen for every community when you sign in, having a checkbox that says I need accessibility assistance. Wow, what a no-brainer, easy thing to do. Have I seen it on any online community signups? Not really. I'm sure there's maybe a couple out there that do it, but man, that should be a ubiquitous practice for inclusivity, for any of the communities that we work in. So I love that orientation. I welcome those conversations. I think that'll be really great.
We are looking for a speaker for our Click Spring event on accessibility. So a shout out to whoever can speak about that and wants to apply.
I know somebody who would be amazing for that. So, okay.
Hey, Ty, can we pull up Piper's last comment?
Oh, sure.
This is really important. Piper, we're happy to hear that. That the best thing about the event in Memphis was how small and intimate it was. This is why we're purposefully taking the approach of the pop-up events and the workshops, because we want those intimate settings to make sure that you're having the networking time and the collaboration time that you need.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And while we're in the comments, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Margaret. Great to see you. Nice of you to join. Good to see you. So thinking a little bit about who's represented for CLI, the kinds of things that you're trying to do. I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit, Bill, about sort of the future, if you've got any big announcements of what's coming up, any teasers you want to drop.
Well, we dropped the teaser of the pop-up event. That was actually just decided on, I don't know, Natalie, this morning. This morning. So we wanted to build a foundation first through the digital side of it. But what we're realizing is that we do need to have those in-persons. And so we are going to work on those in-persons a little bit quicker than we would have. As far as the future of CLI, I'm gonna revert back to what I said earlier. We're not going anywhere. AKA, we're not leaving. We are going somewhere. We're just not leaving. So let me put it that way. CLI is going to grow. And what I mean by grow, it means, from the membership, and we can talk about why we developed the membership model the way we did as well. But we're also looking for support from the platform providers, the service providers. And the reason for that is we need that support in order to actually create the quality content that we need and create the quality events that we need to put together. And I say need purposefully because we do need to do that for you, because then we need to spend essentially those budget dollars to advocate for you. And that's where a lot of the budget is going. That's why, Brad and I have been flying to these different events to speak about community. That's why Brad's been, speaking to the destinations. That's why Natalie has been putting together, rockstar content, and we're starting other video series and all of that. And so we will have a mix between gated and ungated content, for the subscribed members to the premium and ultimate members. I mean, let me say one thing about the ultimate membership. We've got our individual, which is the premium, and the ultimate, which is our company. The reason we put together the company package is not because, it's a company package. It fits into our absolute number one goal, which is making companies buy in to your position, buy into your role and your responsibilities. And so by doing that, right, we are then getting that first little step from the organization to say, yeah, you know what? This is something that we need to invest in. Great. Now that also allows access to five other, members of that company. So not just the community manager, or not only the community manager, but the marketing professionals, the CMOs, all of them, right? To get into there and start seeing the different content that's relevant for them. And so that's why we specifically did that. So when we say that we're very purposeful and intentful, we mean it, because everything that we're doing is to drive that knowledge to the businesses and the organizations to understand the value that you provide and the value that communities provide. So the future of CLI is bright. Let me just put it that way. Obviously, we're always going to be asking for the support, but the support we're asking for is nominal. We understand that there's budget constraints, and so we've devised everything to make sure that it is very, very budget friendly in that sense. And then even the events, you may see our digital events being promoted at $4.99 each, and that's expensive, but it's purposeful, because we want you to become a member, and we want you to become a company member so that they're free, right? So that you can attend those for free and get the buy-in from your company as well. If there's any challenges and you can't get that company membership, talk to us. I'm not saying that we're going to make, exceptions for everybody, but we're here to represent you, and we want to make sure that we are doing that in the best way possible. And so please give us all of your feedback. Give us any knowledge, information that's going to help us to make sure that we're representing you better. So while we only have 2 digital events for this year, Natalie's going to get scared with this, but we're going to bring on, more support for the CLI team. We're looking to have quarterly digital events. These are going to be one-day events, right? These are more broad-based topics with action items that you can take away from the digital side of it, right? But again, that goes back to, well, if my company membership of $500 a year, right, is that, and then I get access to 4 of these that are $4.99 each, well, that's a no-brainer at that point. And so that's why we're going to be doing that. So 2024, we're going to be launching 4 of these digital events. We're going to be having all of our monthly clicks presentations, which are our guest, basically webinars and podcasts, just like this, Todd, which we hope to have you back on as well. And then we're going to have our clip series, which are our internal organic team, just, having random conversations and talking about topics. And then we'll also have the sponsored content that'll be delivered to all of the members as well. And then, of course, let's talk about in person, right? Because that's one of the most important things within this space. Community managers are so focused on their daily lives within the online world, right? that they're itching and excited to really get back to that in-person thing. So this year we'll start with the first pop-up in September. And then as we start to analyze the data a little bit more, we need that time, right? To build that foundation. We will start having these 50 to 100 person pop-up events throughout the country. And we'll look at the timeframes for this. We'll look at, different locations. We'll look at all of that. That way the travel for all of you is easy, right? Mm-hmm. Or easier, I should say. And the networking will be absolutely fantastic. And so we'll have a number of those. How many, I can't say at this moment, but obviously, we'll look to have 1 a quarter for all of those. And then eventually we would like to have, a large annual one in person again. But that also depends on you all, what your feedback is.
Yeah. Bill, I wanted to call out a question or a couple of comments in the chat here that we're asking about sort of like the availability to sort of global community professionals out there. What's your plans for UK, Europe, the world domination? How does that work for you guys?
Funny enough, when we started analyzing the data, a lot of our subscribed members are actually from UK, Europe, and the reason for that was RD had Heidi, and Heidi was helping out with producing all the content, and Heidi just so happens to be located in London, and so a lot of her community professional contacts started joining CLI as the subscribed members, and so we do have the membership base that is there, and we will be looking at non-US based events as well. So we'll focus on that. And Piper, you know what? Let's talk about the webinars a little bit as well in a second too. So as far as the non-US based, we could possibly be looking at Montreal as a location. We could also be looking at London, or any of the other locations as well. We're going to be also looking at locations that are very easy to get to in Europe. as far as these pop-up events. So again, that it's budget friendly. That's one of our things, is to make sure that everything is budget friendly while we grow this industry and we grow the reputation of this industry, so that there is more budget for community.
And as a reminder, Bill and I are doing a TODEP in May in Frankfurt, Germany, to IMEX Frankfurt, which will bring in all travel and event and association executives from all over.
Yeah, Piper, to answer your question on, and I actually, Peter, if you could reply back specifically on the special interest groups, a little bit more detail, we can touch base on that as well. On Piper, so talking about the actual webinars in friendly time zones for Europe, we will start to look at different time zones. We are also going to make sure that every single one of these is on demand as well. And so within the community platform, you'll have access to them to watch them in Netflix style, essentially, whenever, wherever, and however you would like.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I just felt suddenly old because I saw a post from Piper in the chat here about the last time Darren Guff and I were with Fever-Bee at the time, and we met up with Piper. It was like 10 years ago. Oh my gosh, I feel terribly old now. So anyways.
You shouldn't feel old. You should feel more experienced.
Sure. Okay.
That's what I keep telling myself.
Seasoned.
Margaret, Africa, possibly, right? We'd have to look at our membership base. And, right now we don't have a very large membership base in Africa, but maybe a pop-up event there could help us to grow that. But we'll take note, and, Natalie or myself could absolutely reach out to you afterwards to make sure that we can talk about, how we could approach that.
Cool. So the CLI is here to stay. You guys seem like an amazing team. I know I've had some great personal interactions. Clocktower Advisors is a member in disclosure. I've joined up with you guys as a consulting organization. I know also I've been involved with the advisory group for the Community Consultants Collective, which is a really kind of an informal group at this point, but we're coming together as more of a place for community professionals in our industry who are specifically in the consulting realm of things. And we're looking forward to some nice interactions with you guys as well.
Thank you for sponsoring Click Spring, by the way.
Yeah. So we're excited about the things that are coming with CCC. I'm excited about working with you guys further through Clocktower. I've already seen value, from working with you guys through my first webinar, Future of Online Communities, where Brad and I got to jam about some of the impacts of these technologies that are coming out. So really appreciate all of you. I'm just going to go round robin here really quickly. If you want to offer a closing thought, and any final quick plugs or big news items, would love to hear from you. I'll start with you, Natalie. How'd you like to leave things with us?
I do have a really big announcement. So in 45 days, we're going to have our platform up and running. That platform will include, as Peter was talking about, those dedicated groups, those specialized group discussion forums that we're going to have. Inside that platform, you'll be able to achieve the certifications that the community so much is looking for, how to grow your career, that career development. So in collaboration with CCC, actually, we're looking to partner up and create those certification programs that will be available in there. And definitely tons of DEI content. So DEI is something that's top of mind for us and should be top of mind for all community professionals. So expect a significant amount of content around that. So we're super excited.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Natalie. Brad, final closing thoughts here.
I live by one philosophy these days, and it's called the windshield. And there's a reason why the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. And you have to have that windshield look at that beauty that's in front of you, and occasionally got to check back just to just make sure you're doing the right thing. And so I'm just going to leave it with that. there is so much going on. Hopefully we've projected a lot of excitement and passion today, but I live by the windshield.
You guys definitely have. Thanks so much, Brad. And Bill, last word to you.
I could fill up the next 15 minutes with last words, Todd. You know me. I'll leave it with this. We've got some great programs that are coming out. We've got 3 different certifications that we're building. We're going to be working with industry experts and outside of the industry experts as well to make sure that we're pulling in the best resources possible to build the content and the events that we need to represent you the best. I know that there was a previous perception of CLI, and it's hard to just blanket ask you and say, hey, trust us. And I don't expect that. But I will say, give us a chance. We are here to stay, and I do ask you for that chance to represent you because that's what we're all about. And by giving us that chance, I think that you will be pleasantly surprised on how not only your career will progress, but also how the representation of the community industry will progress within the entire business world.
Bill, Natalie, Brad, thank you all so much for coming on the show. Love to have you back anytime. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of things to talk about in the future. But thank you all for your commitment and your interest in providing a venue for community professionals everywhere worldwide. That is a place where we can all learn and grow together. I'm looking forward to seeing where the journey takes us, and glad to hear that you guys are here to stay. For those of you who stuck around and stayed with us here during this show, I wanted to thank you again for tuning in, spending about a little over 45 minutes today with us on this. If you're tuning in on the replay, would love to hear your questions, reactions, comments. You can find the replay on the LinkedIn company page for Clocktower Advisors, as well as on YouTube on the Clocktower Advisors channel. Please pop in over there. If you are not a subscriber, we'd love to have you. We'd be honored to have you as a subscriber. Please like, share, comment. I try to answer everybody that pipes in. And in the meantime, for those of you that were here live, thank you. Please be good to yourselves this weekend. Take some time away. And we will see you here in 2 weeks with Adrian Speyer on March the 24th, talking about community versus marketing or community plus marketing. We don't know. We're going to find out what it is. In the meantime, see you soon online. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.